Hi, everyone, and welcome to Open Mic. We're a couple of minutes late. Two, it's not.
Two.
We're
That's not
2 minutes late, and our listeners have been on the call since 6:59.
Well, welcome everyone.
Welcome. Do apologize for the a small little delay, but we're here. I'm your host, Ramzi Cheety, and my co-host, Tanis. Hey. Oh my God, late. Yes.
Gasps.
Yes. Gasp.
It's all fine.
So
It's all fine.
yesterday we had a 2-hour open mic UK session.
We did.
Yourself, myself, and Susie from Ireland.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, our guest couldn't make it. Things do happen, and we do understand. So we thought we can continue from yesterday where we dropped off. We were talking about ET phone home, and we thought we'll start from there, and then we'll see how the evening progresses. According to me, you're an hour. Am I? Are we? No travel time.
No, she's not in Ottawa.
Oh, that's why.
She's changed time zones. That's why.
So we thought we'll
She's
continue
out
from
east.
yesterday. So ET phone home, Tanis.
Yes.
What can we tell our listeners about ET? Oh my gosh, she's in New Brunswick. Good for you. Have fun.
Awesome. What can we tell our listeners about ETs?
Yes.
They're real?
Are they?
Yeah.
Listen, I have tons of questions, and maybe I
Okay.
can start with that.
Sure.
Um,
They're real and they want to come down, but we need to love people first. Is that better?
yeah, they have to wait a long time. At the state of the world right now, I think they're gonna wait a while. Unfortunately,
They do stuff. Yes, they do stuff.
yeah. The question is, we know from science that the speed of light is the what do you call it? Is the fastest speed in space.
Mhm.
And the closest galaxy or planet that we think that it could be inhabited is, I don't know. I forgot these things. I should have remembered my all these things that I've listened to, but I forgot. But anyway,
It's okay because really time and space.
Yeah,
Time and
it's
space
around
is not a
5 years, more than that, more than four light years away.
but time and space is a human construct.
Uh,
Confirmed. See? Your phone confirmed it.
Yeah, my phone should be quiet, and my dog should stop moving. So,
So many
before we
shoulds.
get into the construct, what I was trying to say is that, and I was trying to understand is that, okay, fine, there could be a space travel, although all the theories that we have today don't allow for interplanetary travel at this time because of the
With our technology.
with our understanding of how the whole thing works, right? Because E equal MC square and all these beautiful
With
stuff.
with our scientific understanding.
Yeah. So
Yes.
assuming they're in the same, I'm trying to figure out something and I try to formulate a question. Could it be one that they have moved forward with their technology like light years ahead of us, whereby they can travel? That's one.
Yes.
Or is it an impression of them being here on Earth?
Yes.
Like,
It's yes to both.
okay, go ahead. I'll leave it. I'll leave it in your hand. Go ahead. Tell us.
Well, it's yes to both. Their technology is way further ahead than ours. So the light speed thing doesn't matter to them. Okay. And you're talking about them being here on Earth. Yeah, they already are. Right? But they're in a different dimensional frequency. And so because they're in this different dimensional frequency, we don't all see them.
Okay.
Because we have it's the same as with all the other stuff, right? Hi, Ocean. Hey, Garnet. Ocean Garnet. So it's just like all the other like guides and all that, right? On our angelics and everything. We have a designated sort of visual range that we can see in, just like we do for our hearing. Okay. So let's take the hearing one, for example. We have a designated hearing range, and things like a dog whistle, for instance, we can't hear it because it's up here, but our dogs can hear up here. Right, Bella Luna? So if we were, that's his puppy dog, just saying. So if we were able to extend our hearing range, then we would actually hear in this upper range. It's the same with our visuals. Okay, so visual range is here. If we can extend that and allow ourselves to see further or higher vibrational frequencies, then we will see many more beings here on Earth than what we're actually aware of. And that's how it works. So they are higher vibrational beings because they have already ascended. So there's a lot of talk about us being on that ascension path and how we're raising the vibration of the Earth and all of that stuff. They've already done a bunch of that. So they're ahead of us in the ascension process. So they're higher vibrational beings. They're more advanced in their science and stuff because they've been around a whole lot longer as well. So they're way more advanced.
Okay.
And so that's my other argument with people that say, what if we have an alien invasion? Right. So we would have already had it if we were going to. Because we're not a threat to them. They're here to help us. They're not here to hurt us. Majority of them.
Unless you watch Hollywood.
Well, Hollywood puts it out there because that's a directive from many other sources that are trying to keep them vilified, right?
Yeah.
That's not to say that all of our galactic history is, great. There's also a lot of stuff where there were galactic wars at one time. So the reptilians ended up starting a galactic war.
Yeah.
And the planets all came together and became the Galactic Federation in order to really sort of come together against that kind of behavior. Right?
True. And a funny one. They would have waited until we mastered the technology. But then if they wanted, they would have done that thousands of years ago.
Exactly.
Yes and yes. But then our, what do you call
Someone's playing devil advocate tonight. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no. I get that. I get that. We're a human race on a smaller rock that's floating in outer space, sitting between millions and millions of other rocks.
Yes.
And what we do, we fight over a piece of dirt. So
yeah, so that's the part that doesn't make sense.
Exactly, it doesn't make sense from the same species where we can't live together. And then you have external species coming over, which could be either right or left or somewhere in between. Now, there's the book Inner Journey from Outer Space, which was, what do you call it? Well, the author was supposed to be our guest yesterday. In one of his chapters, through hypnosis, he saw he saw that he went into the spaceship. He was taken. So that's I think a close encounter of the third, fourth kind. I can't remember which kind it is.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse my ignorance in this in this subject because I'm not that familiar with all the terminologies. But he was taken into that spaceship, and then he saw himself sitting in a container, I think. It's like a tube.
Okay, so like a healing bed.
It's a heal bed, yes.
The healing beds.
Issues with his skin. And then later on, he goes into the spaceship again at an older age, and then he sees most probably his family, and he realizes, well, what I realized, because for some reason I was into this whole thing, he's an avatar.
Okay. So why don't you tell people what that means for him to be an avatar?
For those who did not see the movie Avatar, basically the person sits in a tube, and then his soul or his consciousness or something gets transferred into a body of the people of that planet. So the avatar was, he had to be in the form of the natives of that planet, who are blue, tall, they have a tail, so that they can use it.
In that movie, yep.
His soul or his consciousness moved into Earth and occupies a human body.
So who's to say that's not all of us?
Oh, I don't know. Then that shadows everything else.
It does.
Yeah. So if we're all avatar, but hold on a second, because the thing is, in a way, we are avatars.
Yeah.
Okay. A soul comes down, gets conceived, voila, and then you die, the soul goes away. For the mediums like myself or anybody that's out there that can or had an experience of communicating with the past loved ones, it is that, because you walk in, put on a coat, here you are, you take off the coat and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
But that's coming from a pool of souls, let's say.
Soul group, yeah.
Okay. But this one it's the same thing. It's the same concept,
mm-hmm.
but coming from a different species that's trying to, the word infiltrate is not correct because it's just has a negative.
Support from within is what you're saying.
Pardon? Support
from within.
Yeah, but all they want to do is come in and just experience what a life is as a human being. Mm-hmm. And what are these things that we call emotions, and why do we love to kill each other? So something like that.
So my theory is that we all do that. So we've all had past lives on other planets. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us have had past lives on other planets as well, because we can go into other bodies. We don't have to stay with a human body. That's just our framework here. That's all we know right now. So we've actually been in other bodies. I've been a Pleiadian. I've been an Octurian. I've been a Procyon, right? So my energy, my soul has been in these other types of bodies. And right now it's here.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm wondering what the difference is between an avatar. So when I hear the word avatar, that's like it's almost like how do I describe this? And he may very well be this, but it's almost a very enlightened being that has come down in physical form. That's what that means to me. So someone that's an advanced soul, as opposed to just the rest of us. That's kind of how I see an avatar. It's someone like, for instance, Jesus, who has been down at other times, but has come down, and he's already a very enlightened being when he came down, right?
Let's just say hello, Leah.
Hi, Leah.
Thank you.
City. Hi. Yes, that's right, Kaylee. I think that is what I'm sort of trying to get at, right? So Buddha is being talked about as being an avatar.
The Buddha is an old soul, that gets reincarnated into a Buddha. Well, gets reincarnated, and then they have to do a test within their I don't know if it goes like specific with all the monks, or there's a bigger group of people that they have to test that child with the knowledge that he brings in to make sure that he is a real Buddha before the title is passed on to him. But again, that is from a pool of souls that comes from a spiritual point of view, while the other is overtaking or impersonating, that's a better term, impersonating a human to collect data on us.
So when you say impersonating, are you saying that he has another body somewhere else?
Yes, because based on what I saw and what I like, because I didn't read as much as I was transported into that event, is that he has something left over in the other side. That's how it all came to me.
So do you mean that he is bilocating as a spirit or as a soul?
Okay, could you shed a light on locating?
So bilocating is when we are in two different places at once.
He's to me, he's and it's not animated. It's like a fixed state. Oh.
Inanimate state. Inanimate.
Yeah, he's in inanimate state somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and then his consciousness is over here. And when that completes its mission, it goes back into that body or whatever it is that's being hosted or held somewhere else.
So yes, what Kaylee was saying, it is much like the Matrix then, if that's what you're saying.
The Matrix is a software whereby the antivirus sits in those the ones with the glasses.
But then it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah. On the other side, there's the battery chargers well, actually, is it their consciousness? Yeah, it is their consciousness that is moved into. Yeah.
So then that is a very matrixy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ever read A Bridge Across Forever by Richard? No, I did not.
No, me either. So Lee is asking about the oversoul. So in my framework, the oversoul would be like your soul family. Nice praying mantis, by the way. Have you met any? That would be my question to you. That would be my question to you, Leah. The oversoul is, how I see it, is the higher self. Either higher self, in different frameworks, it represents different things. So it's either your higher self or it's your soul family. So it depends on how high a vibration, how far up your sort of lineage you're going with that.
But if you're talking about a higher soul, the higher soul is always there. Your higher self. Your higher self. Is there.
Yeah. And I think the oversoul is as well. I think that's why she's referring to that.
So
unless you have a different. What's that?
Would you consider the oversoul as a higher self?
In my framework, I would probably say that. It's just a language thing, I think, in terms of people use different language for the same sort of thing.
Let's see what this is. Full trance channeling someone because they are only of spirit, she would or wouldn't be considered an avatar at that time.
Yeah, well, at your definition of avatar, yes. The only thing is with that would be different, though, Kaylee, would be that my consciousness isn't somewhere else. Well, I mean, it's kind of just out here. It's not really like gone. and they don't have a physical body. They don't have another physical body. So I think that's the difference with that. So the full trance channeling is like it's a non-corporeal being that decides to come in. So right. Yeah, so that's that bilocation sort of thing. I'll have to take a look at that book.
Yeah, I wrote down the title also because I want to take a look at it too. Bella,
Yeah.
please, come on, stop. All right. Apologies.
Yes.
That was.
So yeah, Kaylee says right. If they were corporeal, and then it would be the same sort of thing as what you're saying, but they're not corporeal. So he's saying it basically their conscious their corporeal ET body consciousness leaves that for an extended period of time, comes down and inhabits a human body in order to gain data and information. That's what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. Right. And so that's not the case with channeling for the most part, I would say. It can happen that way.
It can. Even with that, it can, because it is a bit okay.
This is a very deep subject.
And nobody is I don't believe anybody is an expert, because it is something that scientifically cannot be proven.
Right.
But there are so many people that come forward with same stories and event that took place with them, near-death experiences, and so on and so forth, that if you correlate all of them together, it makes sense.
Right. Hypnocity, I'm not sure it's quite a walk-in either, because a walk-in is when a soul comes in and takes over, because the other one doesn't want to stay. So it's more like,
that's like
one of your soul family, the one that's in the body is like, nope, don't want to stay here anymore. So someone comes in and takes over, and that one leaves. That's more of a walk-in. But I don't know that that's necessarily what he's referring to.
No. The walk-ins are like the Travelers, the series Travelers on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It's a person about to die, and then a consciousness get transported into that person at the same point when that person passes away. So basically,
so they don't die, basically.
Yeah, two souls exchange the same body.
Yeah.
At a certain point in time, single point in time.
Yeah.
So, but then, because you get all these insights sometimes, and we all do that, is that what I kind of like, somebody asked me what's the free will, and I go, free will doesn't exist, but it only exists on a higher self.
Free world?
Free will.
Oh, free will.
Because we're still talking about the soul and how they move. The free will exists at the higher self level rather than on the human life.
Well, we have free will on Earth. That's why it's here.
Just humor me for 2 seconds, okay? Big Bang happens, and we're all here, and we're gonna move on, and it ends, and then something else will happen, right?
Maybe.
Pardon?
I don't know that I believe in the Big Bang theory.
Okay, so okay, there's no Big Bang, but the stardust, which are contained within our DNA, comes from the outside of Earth.
Yes.
Or part of the whole collective
mm-hmm.
that created us. And then we move on a trajectory, if we like it or not. And then
as a collective or individually?
Individually and collective, because we are part of the collective, if we like it or not. So if you are born in, for example, and no, I'm not gonna go there, but if you were born in in China during the revolution, okay, you would have been a hardliner Chairman Mao person. If you like it or not, you would be that, and you'll be running around beating up people if they didn't believe in the revolution. It's a simple fact, because you're part of the collective of that group of people at that point in time. It just works this way. Okay, you have some people that are
through socialization and programming. Yes.
Yeah. So where was I going with this? I was going somewhere else, but then I pulled myself back from that. Whatever crossed my mind. Oh, about free will. So there is no free will when you're part of a collective.
Yes, there is.
There's the collective free will, but where does the collective free will come from?
We have free will individually here on Earth. I have the free will to pick this up. Even if somebody tells me not to, we have free will to do that.
And so you think, because the free will comes from your higher self of what it wants to do or experience on this planet. That's how I see it. I see the higher self being the...
Okay, I can buy into that, yeah.
I see as the higher self being the one that orchestrates a lifespan, because all that is already done, right?
Yeah, I see that as being already arranged with soul contracts with other souls.
Exactly, with all these soul contracts that are there. So really, did I have a free will in connecting with you and starting to do this? Or was it agreed upon by the higher self prior to? So there is no free will in my mind, because that's the vision that I got when I was answering that question. And it's just like in my head, it just makes sense because, I saw it, but I can't verbalize it.
What he's saying is we did not have free will. We had to do this program.
Okay, let's see what our listeners are saying. I think discern whatever aligns with our current truth.
Yeah, I think there is so I get where you're coming from with that. And I think there is a certain amount of that is free will, or that is our higher self, I should say, preordained. But I also feel that we have free will in terms of how we go from point A to point B. So if we have a soul contract here and a soul contract here, if we don't listen to our intuition, which is our higher self, we might turn left instead of right, because we have free will, because we were given free will coming down. So we're still going to get from A to B, but sometimes we're going to go this way, sometimes we're going to go this way. So I see where you're coming from, that everything is preordained.
Yeah.
And I think that is true for the most part, but I think there is room for our experience of what the reality is. Hello, Bella Luna.
There, say hello and go to sleep, because I have to work.
Bella Luna, hello.
It's okay, baby. What if people we encounter don't realize there is a soul contract? They don't realize it. Yeah, puppy. I don't think anybody realizes the soul contracts until Carolyn Miss put it up there and said, well, this is what it is. And that's why we end up seeing people and interacting with them and creating certain things. But before that, it wasn't really thought of in such a fashion. Okay, we go down. Thank you for coming.
So I think what you're saying, Hypnicity, is, so what if people we encounter don't realize there is a soul contract? So in terms of not being, so worrying about missing the soul contract, I think that's what you're getting at. And I don't think that that's, I don't think that that is a possibility. I think they're always going to redirect. And that's why, I think there's this soul contract and this soul contract. And so if you get redirected, they're redirecting you. So you might get like this and they redirect you back here, and you might end up over here again, and they redirect you back, but you will end up fulfilling a soul contract. One way or another, you will, right? But we still have free will.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's where Richard. Oh, is it? Where does he take us? I really want to read that book now. I'm interested.
Well, we can speak about our experience so that we talk about kind of what that means in terms of this soul contract stuff. So when we first met, and there was like an instant sort of like, I get you. I know you from somewhere. We didn't know where, we just knew we knew each other. And so there was like this instant recognition. And we could have chosen at that time to be friends. But we didn't. Right? So they redirected us again. They're like, okay, try again. So we ran into each other again. And then I think actually it was the third time, wasn't it? Wasn't there 2 instances?
Yeah,
because we saw each other at the conference as well.
Yeah.
So we saw each other at Collab Space, then we saw each other at your conference that you were doing, and then we ended up seeing each other during COVID.
Yeah,
with an online appointment thing. So it took us a while to get there because we had free will to make those choices. I mean, you could argue that the soul contract included those steps. However,
there is an evolution with it's not an evolution, our progression in life. So we needed to progress. Yeah, we crossed path twice, which solidified it for number 3 to take it, move it on forward. You know, it's just, there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that there's no right or wrong answer for this. I think it's just a conversation about possibilities in terms of how we approach things, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't till I started working with Tanis. I'd never heard of them before. I think they're talking about soul contracts at that point. Yeah. Okay. How do you know when you're in the presence of an alien or an angel? The energy feels different. That's my best. If you can't see them, the energy feels different. The frequency and the way that they communicate is different. So that's what I would say. So for me, archangels, and each person is different. Okay. So it's also not about, just because I feel things one way, you're not necessarily going to feel them the same way as I do. So for me, archangels feel incredibly cold because they're such a high vibration that they go past hot into cold. Other people are feel them as incredibly hot because that's just their experience of it. So I feel like that's the angelic feeling. The ETs feel more, how would I describe them? More tingly and warm for the most part. But it really depends on the ET as well. Because I've been in a room full of reptilians that didn't feel that way.
Definitely, angels tend to have temperature for me, hot and cold, versus other beings, just general pressure. Yeah, if you actually sit down and connect with your guides, you start to feel them in different ways, because we all have our own measuring stick on everything, including vibration, sensation, and hearing and seeing, smelling things. So we do have differences. There's a general thing that works for everybody. I feel the same thing when an angel is around. It's just like I'm shivered cold. Even if it's 40 degrees, I have to put a cover on. If it's a guide, I know where they're coming from. In my case, they come from the right. Like now, they started to block my ear, so I know they're there. They're helping me with the podcast. So my whole thing is that try to connect with your guides, so for you to understand who's who around you. And once you feel those sensations, ask the question. Sit in meditation and ask the question: Who are you? And sometimes you get them just like that. Other times you won't get anything, and you think you're losing it, like me, for example. And then you're walking down the street, and all of a sudden a name pops in your head, and it's loud to say, okay, well, the guy's name is X, and this is it. That's your confirmation. So you have to play around with it.
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of things here that are in a bit of an order.
Okay.
So I just want to talk about this one here. So when you choose left, the other you goes right, and each has a story. Yes, that's different timelines. We can have a ton of those different timelines, right? So our consciousness, we could be focused on this current timeline that we're in, because that's where we're focused right now. But I could focus on a different timeline later, and that's what they're talking about in terms of when we jump timelines. So right now I've chosen this timeline because that's what I've chosen. Maybe there's another timeline that's different. Sometimes when we have deja vus, it's because we've actually gone to visit another timeline and it's incredibly similar. And so we come back into the body in the morning, and we actually go through that timeline because there's no time or space. So that timeline, we could have visited it for tomorrow, today, and then tomorrow, when tomorrow comes on this timeline, we experience something very similar to what we experienced in our dream time. And now all of a sudden we're having one of those things called a deja vu because we feel like we've seen it already. And that could happen in this timeline too, but we often will go and visit other timelines to figure out, like, what if we had said yes instead of no? What would have happened? So we go to see what the other us is doing in those other timelines. So yes, I do agree, Hypnocity, that is true. And everything happens for a reason. Yeah, absolutely. Everything is divine timing.
Yes.
Definitely. Right? And then I wanted to talk about that before I got to this.
I used to get a psychic who would preface her reading with 70% is free will. So when she reads, I was going to meet and marry someone within 6 months, I must have taken left turn.
So it means instead of taking a left turn, you probably were on a different time. She was reading a different timeline, is what it is, right? So because when we do readings, we have to be cautious about doing future stuff because of that, because we're not always sure which timeline we're reading. We can be pretty sure if we're tuning into this energy right now, but if you decide to take another timeline, then yeah, it's going to be different. And that's where the free will comes in. So I don't know about this 75%, but I definitely think that we have choices on how we get there. And that's why I feel like we've got soul contracts and we have choices of which one we're going to take to get there. You know?
In my experience, I feel that the main thing you're going to succeed in business, which is very general and a long term, that will stay because that's your character as of today.
Yeah.
But when a psychic goes extremely specific, within 2 weeks, 2 months, you're going to find someone and this is going to happen, this is going to happen, then you're playing with probabilities.
Right.
And
this is most likely based on where you're at right now.
Yes.
That's what they're telling you with readings, right? So it's always take it with a bit of a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we talked about the temperature. You've heard that ETs have an odor. I have no clue. Okay.
Yeah, they stink. No. They don't have the odor.
I would assume they do. I have not smelt their odor, but I am not terribly clair-sniffient or aurelient. But I know that Michael smells like cinnamon buns. Gabriel smells like Tibetan incense. Those two I have smelled. And so I would think that all beings have some kind of a smell like that. Talking to someone who is more clairsniffient would be a good plan in order to answer that question. But I would presume from what I do know, that you would smell something when they're in the room, if that is your strength in terms of your abilities.
Also for odors, sit with the odor to see if it reminds you of someone that you knew that had passed. Sometimes when my aunt passed away at the beginning, I would smell her food. When I'm cooking, there's like a specific smell that kicks out, and I get a shiver immediately that she's around. So sometimes these odors do come even from ex-human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you also have the difference between, is it a message, which is probably what hers is, right? Letting you know who's there by the message,
Yeah.
or is it the actual scent or odor of the energy that's in the room? There was also a thing about a hybrid. What if they're a hybrid? So hybrid for me, at least in my experience, there are two kinds of hybrids. Your soul energy can be a hybrid. So your soul energy, that spark of light that makes up your individual soul, energy is neither created nor destroyed. So the energy must come from somewhere, and sometimes it's not straight from source. Sometimes that energy comes from two different types of energies. So that would create a hybrid soul. Okay. What if they're a hybrid physically being, a physical hybrid being? Then that would be more like the hybrid children program, where they're actually, there's some experimentation stuff happening where they actually splice physical DNA together. That is, in my experience, that's more of a physical thing. Although I say physical, and they're not necessarily, right? They're higher vibrational beings, and they've got some of our DNA, but it's at a higher level, and so they're not necessarily in our physical dimension as we know it. I'm not sure that totally answers your question, but I think that's probably the best we can do in this kind of forum.
Sorry, I can't weigh in on this one because I have no clue.
Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay. We've been here before. Yeah, we often have, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody, though. Not everybody's been to Earth before. So we're, even old souls may have had many, many lifetimes, but they may not have been on Earth. So I've had many, many lifetimes, and I've had a fair number on Earth, but they're not all on Earth. And so that's part of the thing, right? We have been here before, but some of us haven't had as many here as others. Where else are we here? Hello, Miss Tara D. Welcome. I was told I'm an Octurian. Okay, so how does that feel to you, Hypnicity? Does that mean that you have physical DNA of an Octurian? Or is that your soul DNA, that you're Octurian DNA? Because I'm half Pleiadian and half angelic. So my soul frequency, my soul energy, half of it's from the Pleiadians and half of it is from angelic. So I suspect that if you were told you were Octurian, that your soul DNA, so in our DNA structure here on Earth, right, we have 24 strands of DNA. 22 strands. The medical community know what they are. They call the other 2 junk DNA. That's actually our soul DNA, and that is animated by the energy of the soul that actually comes into the body. And so that is, well, I mean, all of it's animated by that, but that is where they store the information. That's where we store our information from our past lives. So yeah, I'm looking at Kaylee's. So I think basically what they're referring to is that you have soul energy that's from an Arcturian origin. Does that make sense? Yeah, it could be ancestral DNA, because we all, I mean, there is the theory that we all started as different ETs, and that is in our actual cellular structure. So it could be considered ancestral as well.
In this lifetime, half Swiss, half American.
Right. That's your physical DNA. That's half Swiss, half American. It may be your soul DNA that has ancestral from the Arcturians. Okay. So your soul DNA, that's the air is not your soul DNA necessarily. It means that is the element of where you come from. Kaylee, she's referring to a class that I teach about channeling. So the monad is of an air. How do I want to put this? Air is more like what creates the base of your monad. So it may be part of your monad, but it's not like it's not your soul DNA. It's not where the soul DNA comes from. Okay. Yes, exactly. Because ultimately, no matter where our DNA comes from, where our soul stuff comes from, all of the energy started and was created at source. It's just which path it's taken to come down to be in us. So, and we are all created. We're all connected all the time, right? Quantum entanglement. We're all connected. Yep, we could research it. Yeah.
That's interesting. Something new, which is awesome.
That's all my framework right there. That's how I see things, right? It's all about the soul DNA versus the physical DNA versus, where it's coming from in terms of your monad, which is your soul ancestry. Mm. Mm-hmm. The monad is your soul ancestry. So that would be what I would think hypnicity, your Arcturian self would be your soul ancestry.
Yes, it is incredibly interesting. My God, we're at 50 minutes.
I do tend to go on.
So we still have 10 minutes. Does anybody have questions regarding what was discussed now? If there's something that you're not, you don't completely understand it, or you need a bit more. Yeah, I was told the breath of God. That's why I say air.
Oh, when you were asked, you were told the breath of God. Okay. So that is basically just saying you were created from the all, from source. That's what they told you.
Who told you?
Her monad. So in the channeling class we go and we do journey work, and we visit all of the 12 physical dimensions. And we meet all the beings and stuff that are in those 12 physical dimensions. And one of them is the monad, which is your soul DNA or your soul ancestry comes from there. And so when she asked, she was told the breath of God, because where do you come from? Whoever she was talking to was like, well, originally you're from source. So you're the breath of God.
So what is this course, if you can just shed some light if somebody on the call doesn't know about it?
Yeah, so it's one of the sort of semi-regular ones that I do. It's like a spiritual communication channeling class. So and it's fascinating, not just because of you learn a framework, which does not need to be exactly your framework either, right? Whenever I teach frameworks like this, it's kind of like, this is my framework, and then you may find slight nuances for your belief system. It's never about me telling you that you must believe this, right? It's always just giving you my perspective on things, just like I've done tonight, right? In the class, we visit these dimensions, but in those dimensions, you learn about yourself. You get messages, and you learn how to get the messages from your guides and meet your guides and meet, all of the different elements. And what is it like to be air? What is it like to be water? And then you go and you meet your archangels, and you go and you meet your ascended masters. So what's it like to interact with these beings and that kind of thing? So that's what that class is about. So it's usually a 9-week, and I do it, 2 or 3 times a year, depending on where the demand is for it.
Okay.
So it's a lot of fun.
When is the next one given?
It will likely be in September. I just finished one, like Wednesday. Okay. We just finished one. So there'll probably be one, I would say in September, we'll start another one.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So for those of you who you don't know who Tanis is and where to find her, you can find it at the 12lifestyle.ca. You can find a lot of things over there, including the courses that been given by her and other teachers. I won't call them teachers, but they're teachers at the end of the day. Yeah. So you can find everything over there.
Thanks, Kaylee.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's the channeling class. Yeah, it's quite popular for sure. Spiritual communication more than channeling to me is it's even more so. So it's more of you learn mediated channeling as opposed to full trance. So, but it's the start. Full trance channel would be like a second level to this one. Mm-hmm.
And for those who believe that they can't do channeling or mediumship or any of these things, please get this thing out of your head, because
everybody can.
Everyone is a psychic. Everyone is a channel. Everyone is a medium. Did I say medium? So everyone is a medium. Everyone is a channel. Everyone is a psychic. So we all have it in us. It's just we weren't trained into that. So we kind of like put it on the side.
Yeah. We kind of blocked ourselves out because society didn't really think it was a thing. But it is a thing, and we are capable of doing these things. So step into your greatness. Yeah.
Meditation practice too. Yeah, of course.
It does.
That's the key. Meditation is a key in everything that we do.
Absolutely.
Because what meditation does, it focuses us towards a point. Because with these phones and all kinds of stuff that we're busy with on a daily basis, it just like spreads our vision to a point where we can't see anything, so when you're focused, you are able to see and hear and feel stuff. When you're scattered, it's just like there's nothing around. So that's what brings you into psychic meditation. Meditation brings you into psychic mediumship and so on, all of these other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not only that, if we take that part out of it, the hocus pocus out of that meditation still is good to lower your blood pressure, makes you more efficient in your work. With what you're doing, you'll be able to focus on your work during the day, or on your family, or whatever it is that, and even on issues that you're dealing with, which might be very, very big before meditation. With meditation, it's more manageable. It doesn't shrink in size. It never does, but it becomes more manageable, and we'll be able to work around those issues.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like you reduce the background noise of it so that you can kind of focus on the issue itself, which often will help us to get some clarity.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
So we're at 55. We already made the infomercial section. Do you have anything that is coming up on your what do you call it, calendar?
Yes. So I have Twillo Talk, of course, every Monday. We will be, I am going to be on a small break at the end of the month. So just as a heads up. And I know. You take a little vacation. Actually, it's a staycation, but time to recenter and do some self-care. So we're going to do that at the end of the month. And we'll be planning the fall sessions for the different courses. We have 6 different teachers, so we're all working and figuring out what we're going to teach next year and planning a great schedule for you. So stay tuned.
That's awesome.
And what do you have?
We have the Spirit Cafe on the, I can't remember the date. Oh my God. Bella. Sorry.
It's not on Bella. That's not a date, folks. Just saying.
We should have one at the end of the month. I can't remember. Yes. It's on the 29th of the month. We have the Spirit Cafe. You can find it on spiritcafe.ca, which is, it teaches mediumship, psychic mediumship. And I ask everyone, because Facebook has been naughty to us these days. So please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Both mine, Ramzi Cheety, and the other one is Twillo Lifestyle. And this way you can get the notification when we have anything that is happening.
Yep.
That's all I have from my end. We thank you very much for being with us tonight, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Have a great evening, everyone, and enjoy the summertime.
Lots of love, lots of grounding. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.